I guess I'm struck by, like, I feel as if we really just don't matter that much. Like, as YouTube personalities or Twitch personalities, I think it's just, we have to be vessels to get people politically organized. And at least how I feel is the guests that I have on my show. When we have on somebody who is works in I don't know, like Astra Taylor, for example, we have on regularly with the Debt Collective. She is actively making change, working with the Biden administration to try to get student debt canceled. And that original cancellation that he did, that eventually the Supreme Court got overturned, that's a direct result of what they did, what the Debt Collective and Astra Taylor did. Like that's, I guess, what I view my role as, is using the fact that some people like to hear my voice or hear me talk or watch our show as a way to platform other people who are making active change in society, and getting those organizations, Progressive Victory as well, to a place where they have relative prominence, given the small audience that I have, the small impact that I can make on the world in, you know, however long I am on this earth. That's what I see as the more productive way to conduct an online media leftist space.
I think, just as a quick comment, I feel like we do matter. I think we matter quite a bit. I think more than we give ourselves credit for. Like, you look at somebody like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a billionaire, one of the wealthiest people on the planet. He still wanted more attention. He wanted to be president. He does everything for attention. You look at somebody like Andrew Tate, who most likely ran trafficking ring for years and years, and it wasn't enough to have the tens of millions of dollars from Gutties. He wanted to be a TikTok influencer. I think that at the end of the day, you know, money buys power and influence, and people that have money eventually seek that influence. That's something that we found a way in the YouTube world to short circuit. We have that influence. And I think for as much as we care about people on the ground doing real work, so many of these people would kill if they could have even 1/10 of the voice that we have in terms of directing our audiences towards those types of real world causes. I think one of the biggest kind of gravest sins that we've made kind of in liberal or left-leaning media over the past few decades has probably been Jon Stewart religiously adhering to this idea that I'm not here to inform people, I'm not here to educate people, I just do a political funny show that happens after, you know, Muppets that crank calls on phones. He used to repeat that line so many times, and I used to think for so long, like, it's true, why do people take Jon Stewart seriously? Like, he's just a comedian guy. Why are you so mad that he's not pressing politicians or being more serious about his job? He's literally on Comedy Central. But then I look back and I think, how many millennials' sole source of political education came from The Daily Show? How many of you guys watched a lot of The Daily Show? I don't know what the age is. Okay,
Woo!
Yeah. Like, it's as silly as it is, as much as we call it edutainment, it's really important. We shape a lot of people's lives, we shape a lot of people's minds, we aim a lot of them in certain political ways. I think it's important that, I agree that at the end of the day, like, we're just talkers, but I mean, like, I don't know what you would watch up here, but, you know, at the end of the day, like, talking is a really important thing. Like, you influence, you capture people's ears, hearts, minds, and you aim them in a certain political way. And I think that to do that in a responsible and effective way is probably one of the most important things that anybody can do in the world, especially an influencer.
Yeah, so
I aspire to your level of confidence, Dustin.
So I agree that the microphones you all hold are important, and at Progressive Victory, we're taking people from the streaming audience that directed at us and mobilizing them for change, and it's been a great ride. We're doing it so far, and we have big plans for 2024. If you want to get involved, you can go to progress.win and sign up, jump into our Discord. We have a couple questions here, a couple minutes for questions, if anyone wants to take audience questions.
And let me just add one thing too, like, the online left is not representative of the left, right? Like, we are, there's a tendency to overinflate our importance. We are not that important, we're just not. I'm here to communicate issues. I don't feel that we should think of ourselves that way, honestly. Like, I'm here to communicate issues. I want to bring people on my platform that are actually doing the work, that are on the ground, that are advocates. That's the world that I see in this political space. And so, yeah, there's infighting with media personalities, but that's mostly about branding and stuff like that. What matters really are the people that are doing the work and organizing and working together. And I just think it's important to make that distinction between influencers and speakers and people who have microphones versus people who maybe don't get the attention that they deserve.
I wish I brought a notebook with me because I think I disagree with almost every single thing that was just said. that infighting happens on the left and the right. I think it's silly to say that infighting is something that only happens on the left or is exclusive to the left. I mean, just a while ago, we saw a huge split with Steven Crowder fighting with Daily Wire, for instance. We see huge schisms in the Republican Party, but they're unsure of how they're going to proceed when 70 to 80% of the party is like ride or die for Donald Trump, who stands in stark contrast to the actual Republican establishment. The idea that, I mean, we see even Donald Trump, the guy who, you know, is the leader of the Republican Party, literally fights with every single other person in the Republican Party and his own cabinet and his own attorney general and every other part of his thing. So I don't think infighting is unique to any side. I agree that fighting and debate is good and having conversations is good, but I find that on the left that's not what happens, and these fights don't originate out of principle, and they don't conduct themselves in a way that is productive. Instead, what they end up being is like an endless place to serve your own ego and to strawman, attack, cancel, destroy people that you end up disagreeing with. So while it would be really great if it did exist on the left, we could have conversations and disagreements, what actually happens is there is a party line you kind of have to toe right now on the left if you're a progressive, and if you deviate in any way, size, shape, or form, you're essentially no. And I don't think there's anything productive there. I don't think anything good happens there. And then on the end, the last point that Emma brought up, as much as I'd like to say, like 10 years ago, Twitter was not real life, I just sat across from Rokan who said that he didn't even have AOC's number, and they were conducting official business on Twitter DMs. So it seems like every day Twitter is becoming more and more like real life, where a lot of the policy, Donald Trump was literally announcing policy, making decisions from Twitter. We've got politicians like Bernie Sanders having to disavow his fan base because of their behavior on Twitter. And we've got a lot of interactions online that are merging more with real life than they ever have before. I don't think it's enough for influencers or entertainers to just throw their hands up and say, well, I just do entertainment. The work on the street is for the people on the street. I think that it is becoming increasingly more likely that people online are having a major influence on stuff that happens on the street or in the in academia or in other places. And I think we need to be aware of that responsibility. We need to play into it accordingly.
I think I actually agree strongly with that aspect. There's a TikTok I saw from a creator called Chris Raygun. It was funny, but the gist of it was essentially he was calling out a number of other YouTubers who he strongly believed had received an email, like him, from a conservative organization offering them money in exchange for them being willing to push certain talking points. He didn't accept it. He feels that a bunch of other folks did. There is a really strong synchronicity there. It feels in a lot of right-leaning spaces where there is this underlying cohesion. You know, and you spoke to it being like the bridge of capital, and I think that capital, if nothing, binds people. You can pay people.
The money binds those right-wing influencers.
Oh,
very
for
well.
sure.
Yeah.
Really
How
obvious.
much money do all the left-leaning influencers make? I mean, like, it's not, none of us up here are poor, right? We all make a lot of money up here, right? I think it's not some of the largest podcasts, I know the majority report doesn't really go on Patreon, and the Watch Your Channel is good. Like, it's not like we're sitting up here broke, like we're on the street in rags, like, listening to fellow leftists. Like, you make a lot of money here, too.
No, but that's the difference, right? We make money, but the circuits through which we make money incentivize, in many cases, drama and infighting. One of the best ways to get a lot of money or prestige or clout as an influencer is to manufacture drama. That's the case for drama YouTubers, and it's the case for political YouTubers. And there's a critical difference between wealth acquired through that means and wealth that you receive from a different organization on the condition that you adhere to a certain set of values and not broach certain topics. And I think that difference, now that's not something we want to replicate, right? I'm not suggesting the solution for the left is to set up like dark money packs and start funding it.
But I think it's the same problem. I think the reason why we look at the right and we say, oh, well, they take money from PACs or organizations, so what is the bad thing about that? The bad thing is that you might have an influencer that's not representing their true, honest beliefs, but they're representing the people that are behind them financially. But I think the exact same type of audience capture happens on the left. Every one of us up here has made a decision about what topic to cover or not cover because we know that our audience might respond in a certain way for it. And when you literally have paying subscriptions that are writing on your opinion on like a certain breaking news topic, I don't think it's enough to say like, well, you know, I'm funded by my audience, therefore I don't have to worry about audience capture. When I think all the exact same problems that people that are bought by corporate interests can exist on the right, the exact same thing can happen on the left with audience capture when you're a certain political opinion as well.
No, I don't disagree. But it is a difference in how that capture takes place, would you agree? Because if the capture is from your audience, the incentive there is to make the audience happy, whereas the incentive in the case of sort of other money would be to keep your benefactors happy. And they might have a much more structured and specific set of goals. If you're getting funded by a conservative PAC, they don't care about drama. Like, they're not interested in like a video that gets a bunch of views because you trash another conservative. They're trying to toe a line here, you know? So we're not trying to replicate that. But I think that it takes a certain level of discipline in order to get comparable results in terms of audience engagement and cohesion. And to that extent, a lot of work needs to be done.
So
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.